My name is Dina, and I'm a Coptic Orthodox Christian.
So I'm Leonard, and I'm Jewish.
My name is Maram, and I'm a Muslim.
My name is Nalishwa, and I am a Christian.
Hi, I'm Dan, and I'm Jewish.
So my name's Tom Linebear, and I am a Christian, and I go to a Church of England church here in Brighton.
It was very comfortable for me to talk about my faith openly with my friends in school. It never got in the way of how I was treated.
I never struggled. I never struggled being a Muslim. I remember when I was in year 8, and people were like, "Oh, Maram's a Muslim," and they're like, "Oh yeah, do you want to tell us more about your faith?" And so I always felt included. It was always very positive. Everyone wanted to know more because they're like, "Oh, Maram she's so nice. Oh, is that because she's Muslim, or is it just because she's nice?" And different parts of Europe, I have struggled a little bit. People are a bit go home. I'm like, go home where? Where do you want me to go home? But in Brighton, I've never struggled. Never. No one's ever been mean to me or horrible. I guess because I'm always smiling at people. People are like, is she okay?
I was raised up in the church, but I didn't have a personal relationship. But it was when I was 18 that I felt like I was saved, and I actually entered a relationship with God and trusted Him as my Lord and Saviour.
I do come across many people of other faiths, but it's normal. It doesn't make a difference to the way we interact or to the way I interact with others. At the end of the day, I respect their religion and their faith, and I get the same respect back. So I don't really feel the difference. I think it's just normal interactions, like any normal two human beings are interacting.
Yeah, as a Christian at St. Peter's, we don't have loads of interaction with people from different faith groups.
I often have a smooth relationship with people of other faiths. There's obviously a massive spectrum of amounts of people that people can engage with different faiths and the amount of faiths that people can engage with. I always like to talk to people about if they have a faith, if not, if they did, which one would it be? Talking to people about the extent to which they engaged with their faith and why that is.
I think most of that experience was when I went to university. It was a place where I interacted with people from all different faiths and backgrounds, and it was just interesting to just speak about our different experiences, because a lot of people come into that space and also meet people from different backgrounds, so it's a great conversation starter, but also just to see how people view life through their faith.
I guess quite differently, because I feel like people of other faiths, they would usually identify as religious, which I don't really. So I feel it's a very different kind of I guess the way we see religion, it's a very different kind of how we view ourselves and the other. So, but I'm used to it. I went to Catholic school for 3 years, so I'm used to being with other people for other faiths and stuff.
I guess before I wore my hijab, no one knew I was Muslim, in the sense that I was quite pale, and that you can't really tell if someone's Muslim or not, because anyone could be Muslim in that sense. I have friends who are born and raised in England, and they're British, and they've converted to Islam. Anyone could be Muslim. You don't have to be born into Islam to be a Muslim either.
Me personally, I haven't experienced any negativity or any friction. If anything, the only thing I've experienced is, well, who are you? Just an inquiring mind. But I find when I explain who we are, I tend to get a positive view more than frictions here in Brighton and Hove.
I've only had 1 or 2 negative experiences, and those are from people that, let's say, I wouldn't frequently meet.
I would say that my faith helps me in difficult situations, because I know that life is going to throw all kinds of things at you, but just knowing that God is with me, that He's not distant, but He is a God that's close to us, that lives in my heart. And to me, overall, I just find that deeply reassuring and brings me a really deep sense of peace day to day.
The Coptic Orthodox Church, we have a Pope, Pope Tawadros. Under the Pope, we have the metropolitans, then we have the bishops, then we have the priests, and then we have the deacons, and then the congregation. So we've got a big structure.
We have a vicar, Archie, who just leads the church, but again, there's just different people in different positions. We have clergy, laymen, ordinance, people training to be vicars.
So I work at the Liberal and Progressive Synagogue in Hove, so with that comes attending the congregation, the services quite frequently.
So I go to St Peter's Church in the centre of Brighton, which is a Church of England church, and we have a vicar and various other clergy members who lead us in lots of different ways. But we also have lots of lay people, we call them people that aren't ordained, or priests that also lead.
Within our community, we have something called an imam, who leads our community, in the sense that we have something called a Friday prayer, where we all go to pray on Fridays in the mosque. Obviously, I don't have to go, but as a woman, but you can go for sure, and that's it really. But we have community leaders too, and they help bring the community together, do stuff for our celebrations like Eid.
We have a lot of women in leadership who preach and who teach and who are just there walking alongside of people. So it's both genders.
Yeah, so when we go see the rabbis, usually on Saturdays, even though you can go pretty much any day, but the main day that it's open is on Saturdays. He leads the group, and yeah, anyone can go. It's just the very beginning that has the ritualistic stuff. The rest is just eating and chatting, and yeah, it's a really nice experience.
During the first lockdown, we were cooking meals for the homeless, we were cooking meals for the NHS staff because they needed help. We tried to get involved in the community as much as we can, whether that's locally or on a bigger scale, because we raise funds, clothes for the homeless in Brighton, but also across the world where people are struggling, in Afghanistan and Syria and all these places as well. So we try our best.
As a church, we're very outward facing. We believe that the church should exist beyond the four walls of the actual church building. So we're involved in lots of different ways in our city, from helping with people experiencing homelessness or addiction or struggling with mental health, to working with kids and young people in schools, just getting alongside people and helping them walk through life.
Taking out food to the needy, to the vulnerable. The church had to supply a lot of food that was then delivered out. Any kind of emotional support as well that was needed.
People who are experiencing homelessness, so there's a ministry for that. We've just opened up a new cafe called Africa House, where we run workshops for the community, specifically for women as well, who have gone through things in their lives. So that's a way that my faith just directly influences.
Most of the functions that I personally perform within the community are to help the community as a whole, help the Jewish community. So for example, we'll be going to Jewish events to try and help Jews to meet each other, and there aren't a lot of us floating around, so it's nice to bring us in contact with each other if you want to.
Really good. I don't struggle at all. I feel very accepted the way I am. I guess I'm really lucky that I grew up in Brighton, because everyone is so accepting and tolerant.
Being a Christian in Brighton and Hove, I think, can be challenging sometimes. I think there's lots of misconceptions about what faith really is and what it looks like and what it looks like to be a practicing Christian. So there are elements that are tricky, but I think being a Christian in Brighton and Hove is amazing.
My experience hasn't really changed since I moved here, being Jewish. I guess a lot of it is also because I keep it to myself, so since no one can really tell, I just yeah, no one bothers me and no one bothers them. It's just I just don't really show it much, so I wouldn't really be able to say. But, yeah.
I love being a Coptic Christian in Brighton and Hove. I feel very accepted. I feel respected. But I think my best part is having the sea and having the opportunity of doing my morning prayers or quiet time on the beach. I love it. I love being a Christian here.
I guess it's quite hard because Islam is so broad, but to me, Islam means, peace and like to be nice to people and like the way that you act.
I think one thing I recognized about Brighton is everyone believes in something and is searches for something, but it's just all very different. So it feels like a melting pot of people with just different beliefs and different expressions of a different kind of faith. And I think one thing I've noticed about Brighton is you kind of have to really show what do you believe in and why and how is it impacting your life. So it's a space where everyone, I believe, is believing in something. But it's just, I guess, the question of is what are they believing in?